Right, good evening. You're just in time for the Monday Town Hall live from Daystar University. This is where we're having the conversation just 4 days to the International Day of the Girl Child. Have we made progress? What more needs to be done? According to research, it will take us 180 years to bridge the gap between men and women. That is the conversation we're having this evening. How do we stop the sexualization and objectification of women? We'd like to hear from you at Trevor Mbija, at M. Kapombe, at Wega Mwaura, hashtag Monday Report, hashtag Rewrite Her Story. Siko peke yangu lakini tuko na Mashirima, the voice of the girl child. Mashirima, ama vipi?
Hapo sawa, nitajaribu, lakini kuna wenzangu hapa wengi sana ambao kuna mengi ya kusema kuhusiana na mada yetu ya hii leo. Na kutoka mwaka 1995 wakati ambapo kulikuwa na ile sera iliyoandikwa katika Beijing Declaration Platform for Action katika Umoja wa Mataifa hususan kwa wanawake, mwaka huo yale masuala ambayo yalikuwa yanaangaziwa: umaskini, elimu, afya, ghasia, mazingira, uchumi, katika kumhamasisha mtoto wa kike. Na hadi sasa miaka 24 baadaye bado ni mambo yale yale ndio tutakuwa tunayazamia mzima kwenye mdahalo huu. Trevor.
All right, asante sana Mashirima. Will be crossing over to the audience to find out what they think. Let me introduce my guest to you with no particular order, beginning from my immediate left. Marceline Nyambala, Executive Director, Association of Media Women in Kenya, also known as AMWIC. Asante sana for making time. And then we have Jacinta Mwendo. She's a youth advocate with Plan International Kenya. Thank you so much for coming in. And Kate Maina Volley, the County Director, Plan International Kenya. Asante sana for making time. And last but not least, Bishop Jackson Kosgei, the Chairperson, KFCB, which is Kenya Film Classification Board. Asante sana for making time as well. And Kate, I'll start with you straight up. You've done a research on how women and girls are being portrayed. What was the most perplexing finding for you?
Thank you very much, Trevor. Yes, Plan International partnered with the Gina Davis Center for Media. And really, Trevor, the most perplexing thing is nothing significantly has changed as we talk about the advancement of women and girls' rights, and more particularly, the spaces we're opening up for girls and women in leadership positions. When we look back at the famous Beijing conference of 1995, one of the critical call for action, there were 12 critical actions, and one of the actions that 189 member states signed up for was that media would be called up to do more to advance women's rights and how they portray women in leadership positions and in the media itself. And when we look at what we're seeing here from Rewrite Her Story and the research, it's really painting a very dismal picture in terms of, has much really changed? Have media really stepped up to that challenge of 1995? And what makes it even more sad is that this conversation didn't start in 1995. You know, in the 1970s, we already had research that was showing us that media continues to put women in roles that stereotypic roles that objectify women.
Yeah.
So no, that was perhaps the most glaring observation from this research.
So
nothing much has changed.
The ripple effect from that then essentially means that the media, girls and women are influenced by what they see on the media?
Yes. And more so with this generation, the young generation, as we know, the way we access information now is not the way we accessed information in the 1970s and 1995. Yeah. A lot of the respondents here, I think we spoke to over 10,000 girls across 20 countries. They absorb what they see on television, on media print, in magazines and newspapers. Yeah. And so media has a very critical role to play in terms of how we portray the woman. And an analysis of some of the 50 highly grossing films in 2018 revealed that, again, when we have movies that have actors, and I use the word actors deliberately, in leadership and or leading roles, they are men. Very rarely do we see women in leading roles. And when they do have leading roles, they are objectified.
And sometimes their pay is not even commensurate to their role.
Exactly.
And that's interesting. Marceline, let me bring you in. Have we failed the girl child as a media fraternity? And this is now putting all of us on the spot.
I would say that much more needs to be done. Something has been done and something is being done. as late as this evening, and I think you are familiar, members of AMWIC, Association of Media Women in Kenya, take it upon themselves to strive to ensure that a lot of our programs that we have in the media, that we have representation. I think for this program and even for Press Pass that is going on the other station, members of AMWIC strive that at least we have a voice of women.
Yeah.
Having said that, the Global Media Monitoring Report, which AMWIC is participating in the next research for next year, much of the time, and the latest is that globally, about 24%, only 24% of the experts and voices in the media belong to women. And indeed, as Kate has said, not much progress has been made since the Beijing. There is need for a lot more deliberate action in terms of supply and demand. Much more must be done to give confidence to women for them to become experts. The challenge arises that who are the spokespersons of organization? And when you don't have women in politics, when you don't have women as heads of organization, when you don't have women as spokesperson, then you begin to see those figures because you mobilize them and they'll tell you, I am not the spokesperson of this particular organization.
So how do we give them this confidence that you're talking about?
And this is where the conversation we are having today, what are the images? Because young people are impressionable. What they see in the media and everywhere else begins to shape how they think of themselves. If they do not perceive themselves as potential leaders, then they will not strive to become leaders. So there are subtle images. When those images portray them as occupying spaces that are hidden, as opposed to public spaces, then this is the farthest they want to strive for. They want to strive for the safe spaces. They want to strive for careers that are not challenging, and therefore then they will not have visibility.
Okay.
So therefore we need to we showcase their lives and we showcase women making it. And if they see this woman has made it, role modeling, and role modeling will be on social media, will be on television, on radio, and this is going to impact their lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jacinta, just be honest with me. As a young girl, when you watch movies and you see what's going on in the media, do you feel like you're adequately represented?
When I watch movies, like what she was saying, in the top, I was very disgraced by the fact that the top 50 movies in 2018, we could hardly have directors who are women. And that just showcases how women are being given the secondary roles in these movies. And the way we are represented in these secondary roles, it's not in the right way. They are made sexual objects.
Yeah.
They are just made sexual beings. And that makes us feel like what we have, even in our potentials, in our ambitions, we only think that we are valued because of our bodies, not because of what we can offer. So we are not adequately really represented the way we really want to be represented. We want to see leaders in those films. We want to see women leaders take top positions in these films so that we are encouraged to go for it, to go for these positions.
Okay.
So if we see people, only what we can see, how we are represented is being sexual objects, we think that that's where we belong.
Okay. So with the current setup, what you see in the media influences directly what you think you can become. How much of that then would be the girl child's role to step up?
Pardon?
Because there are also those who believe that you may be given those opportunities, but you have to reach out and grab them. Yeah. How much of that is the role of the girl to step up? And Kate, you can also come in on this because you are doing the research mostly.
Yes, no, thank you, Chair. If I may, I think what my fellow ladies are saying here is to be it, they must see it. To be able to see it, we must have more directors. She spoke about when we looked at the 50 high-grossing movies of 2018, none of them were directed by a woman.
Okay.
And these are movies we are seeing in Hollywood. These are movies that we're downloading on Netflix, on Mnet, and what have you, you know? So if the movies we watch, none of them were directed by a woman, and 1 out of 10, there was only one woman writer. How can they see it so that they can be it? We must also create those spaces for women to be directors. We must fund women directors.
All right.
And when women directors and producers and actors occupy that space, then young ladies like her can see it.
So to be it, they must see it. That's
they
a good
must
way of
see
putting
it. Yes.
Bishop,
and to see it, we must position women in the industry.
Brilliant. Bishop, where do you think the gap lies? Is it in policy, or is it just basic perception that is
from where we stand as a regulator, we looked at mostly the content of what films tend to portray. And women participate in that. And there are, as you know, there are 3 important things that really matter in life, in as far as protecting the interest of every individual in society. One is freedom, the other one is dignity, and then the protection of family as a source of hope for a young girl growing to be and creating the perception and worldview of our life. As I sit here, I'm a father of one of the prominent women in this country and beyond. I'm sure you know Amy Koske. One of the privilege that she had is having a home that would appreciate her talent, appreciate her hopes, and get encouraged and provide security. So as a regulator, we look at almost those issues that demean a woman, that would like to objectify and just use a woman as incidental in terms of social development. So this is where we come from as a regulator, and this is where the government intervenes. So while other efforts are being put, exposing women to opportunities, encouraging them to participate, we also make sure that the field in which they are, we really regulate. We had some uproar sometimes when we restricted a film called The 50 Shades of Grey. And people were asking, why did you have to do it? There were 3 things that really guided us in restricting it. One was violence against women. Objectifying a woman as an object of sex. And the other one was an abuse of children. So we did that, and we had a debate with the producer in London when we did that, and we won the debate because surely, unless we regulate the field, we can have all other opportunities given, yet they can be disadvantaged.
All right, let's bring in the audience on this. In Mashirima wanasema vipi huko?
Kuna mengi wamesema, lakini wacha nianze na mshairi hapa yoitwa Poet Noah. Alikuwa amewasha moto pale kabla mjadala uanze. Ulikuwa wasemaje?
Asante Makapombe. Sasa wacha niwashe moto na nilekuwasha. And I'll speak in English and Swahili. But I love what Bishop is saying and what Jacinta is saying. And the word objectifying has been mentioned a couple of times. And there's even research done about it. But as a poet, as a director, as someone who watches Netflix and YouTube, what do I see on my screen? And what do I get in my studio? I see the same ladies who want to twerk because it sells, sex sells. But are they being forced? They're not being forced. So who's objectifying them? Isn't it the ladies themselves? Okay? Jacinta, who looks like some of the ladies I see on Ethic and Sailors songs. And when sailors ask, madam, wasimame ama wainame? And everyone says wainame. Are the ladies happy? They're happy. Do I make money? I make money. And then in the evening, I go home and I sleep and I ask myself, am I the bad person as a poet noir? Mimi ni mbaya kama mtunga shairi when I write my poems and describe certain parts of our body? They're okay, right? Wanainama, wanainuka. They're okay. And you'll do the research, utapata the same thing. No one is complaining.
Okay.
In your case, sorry, just a minute. In your case FB analysis, utasema you're protecting the child, you're protecting the women, but the same women, 2 days to, or 1 day to International Day of the Girl, are the same ones who are coming to me as mshairi saying, ni sawa, hapo hatuna ubaya. Unaona? So, I'm asking myself as a mshairi, and I'm making money from this objectifying of the girl child.
Yeah.
I want to make money, and they'll come to me, I'll make videos, I'll sing songs, I'll write poems. So, shida iko wapi?
Okay.
Shida iko wapi? Wainuke ama wainame?
We'll talk about personal decisions in just a bit, and you'll all wade into that. You also mentioned Mashirima wanataka wajibu sasa hivi.
Mi kwanza nina swali la poet Noah. Manake anasema ni mshairi. Ukiwa unaandika mishororo unaambia watu wainame na wainuke, kisha urudie useme muiname muinuke, una nia gani?
Mimi kama mtunga shairi, the woman is beautiful. I've seen the woman from my mom to my sisters. I have my mother who up mama unaona, and my sisters were very beautiful. And when I write poems, I describe the beauty of the woman. I describe the beauty of the woman, right? And I describe from head to toe and in between. So, and in my poems, I use metaphors, I use descriptors. Nantasema wainuke, wainame, just to, not to objectify, but to beautify. Useme ule ni ako salama. Okay. Si ndio? Lakini pale kwa video yangu nikitaka kutengeneza pesa, ndasema ainame ndo video ione nitengeneze pesa.
Okay.
See,
we'll talk about personal decisions and money in just a bit.
Lakini tuko hapa na Bridget Achieng. Yeye anasema kuwa wale wanawake wakiambiwa wafanye kitu fulani wanafanya. Wewe umekuwa katika hiyo kazi awali. Ukimsikia akisema hivyo unakubaliana naye?
Honestly, sijai kwa music video. I'm a very shy person I'm very shy in general. People who know me would tell you that. But what I can say, when amesema sex sells from the time of Adam and Eve. I read the Bible. I know my Bible very well. So there's much. I don't want to say there's nothing much that can be done. It's so sad, but where our generation is heading to, even when I do my prayers, I tell God, we as the influencers, because I'm an influencer, my son is an influencer. Before I post something these days, I ask myself, is it internet worthy? Because anybody who has followed me from way back, from the girl in the hood, the girl from the ghetto, they will understand my transition. Because as I grow older, I understand day by day that it's not only about me, it's about also my followers, my fans who love me, who come to my DM every day and ask me, Bridget, story ya sponsor ni aje, ikue ama isikue. Unaona aje Bridget, is it good if I have a sponsor?
And what do you tell them?
And you see, I have all this. If I open my DM right now, you'll understand 3/4 of the week I have to keep on nurturing a girl, because it's in my power to break or make them, because I know I understand now where the right and the wrong is. But when I was growing up when I was coming in the social scene, we are taught is good, because that is where the money is. Okay. And sometimes you don't have a choice because you need this money. Okay. Like the poet says, sometimes inabidi watu wainame ama wainuke. You understand?
Okay.
So that's it. That's what I can say.
Kate, you want to go first? There's a lot that has come out. One, personal decisions and the perception that sex sells. How do we counter that narrative henceforth?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bishop, you want to take it first?
Please.
Okay.
While I stop reeling, yes.
Yes.
I would like to respond, though.
Yeah, I like that. I like that discussion. The intention from us, I mean, from the regulator, is to create a platform for a conversation, so that we ask ourselves some pertinent questions. One of them, must we degrade ourselves to earn a living? It takes a conspiracy of system in society to behave in a certain way. You have repeatedly said, one, I'm doing it because it sells, but not because it is right. You have said also, I'm doing it because it is convenient to get money, and I want to earn a living. Now, while we understand that you are creating a job for yourself, we must ask ourselves, what is the ripple effect on the society? And therefore, we need to have a conversation as a people.
Okay.
That what kind of ethical values would we want to espouse and aspire?
Yeah.
What do we want to be? And what will it happen finally if we go that route? So I think it is very important. This opens now a national discussion.
Okay.
And therefore we have the extremes on this side who are dogmatic on principles of religion, culture, and they feel offended, and we have a group of people are saying, what would you expect us to do? Okay. So this is where what we are grappling in as a regulator.
Kate, how do we reach a middle ground?
Yeah.
How do we reach a middle ground on this? Because there's the reality, then there's the perception. Yeah.
Admitting that perhaps we wouldn't want our daughters and our sisters to be twerking. And if we wouldn't make money from our sisters and our daughters twerking, then how do you sleep well at night? Just saying. You know, this whole conversation about the research is about the opportunity media has. It can be either very limiting or demeaning, as the bishop says, or we can use media to be a platform to inspire girls. I mean, the bishop just talked about stopping the movie
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. We had a whole conversation that was going on social media about the KICD, some curriculum, supplementary materials that were going to be offered in schools, and all the parents sat up and started making, you know, there was a lot of, as you know, Kenyans on social media, there was a lot of reaction. So why is it that for certain sectors, it's okay to make noise about the supplementary readers that our children might access, but in the evening it's okay for our daughters and our nieces and our cousins to be twerking so we can make money out of it? I think it is it's a bit schizophrenic, to be honest. And it goes back to what the bishop is saying about our value systems. Who are we as Kenyans, and what do we want to be known for? We must have a value-based framework that underpins who we are as a nation and how we want our children to grow up.
Jacinta, is that a concern from the people you talk to? I'll come back to you, Bishop, in just a bit. Jacinta, is it a concern to the people you talk to when you hear the statements that are being made there? What do they tell you on the ground, the young people you interact with? Why do they do what they do? Is it really just because it's what they see?
Actually, most of the people I interact with, that is young people, they actually don't see a problem with it. Why? It has been a stereotype, and it has become part of them such that they don't see anything wrong with that.
It's made to seem normal.
Yes, it's a normal thing. And I like your question when you ask, is it my problem, me as a writer, as a producer? Actually, that's why we are saying we have to rewrite our story. We are not blaming anyone. We are even talking to our girls and telling them it's time we change our narrative. We don't have to be portrayed as sexual object for us to live. We rewrite our story.
Mashirima, ni kweli umewasha moto, sio?
Moto umewashwa kweli kweli. Lakini kuna mmoja hapa ambaye alikuwa amesema jambo fulani kabla tuanze. Ni Virginia kama sijakosea. Tuambie tu jina lako, alafu tuambie ulisema nini awali kuhusiana na haya mambo ambayo yanazungumziwa.
My name is Ashley. Nilisema, others are pretending and this is what they love to see. Like, if you're not in that video, the video will be so boring. And then something else, the same way Mshairi said that he's making money is the same way us, we are making money. Because if there's kama kuna kazi rahisi and it's direct and it's available for us to make money, we'll just do it.
Haya, bonge la bite hilo, Trevor. Tutapumzika kidogo ili tuweze kuendelea. Moto kidogo upungue ili watu waweze kujikusanya kimawazo. Tutarejea baada ya mapumziko.